That first half was the best football I've seen under Erik ten Hag to date. Here are three things I learned about Manchester United's 0-0 draw away against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. First things first, that lineup when it came out, the only major news was Rashford being on the bench, which I didn't have an issue with. Ten Hag was asked about it before the game and he said rotation options. Garnacho started the season very, very well coming off the bench. Rashford's just recently scored in his previous two games as well. It was a toss-up decision. I didn't mind both of them, either one of them starting the game. Other than that, it was again that midfield of Eriksen and Kobe, which I was concerned about in the previous game. I was less concerned about in this game because I also saw Palace's lineup and they went for a double pivot of Wharton and Daichi Kamada. So they also had a bit of weaknesses in their midfield as well and were focusing on ball playing. But back to Manchester United. That first half, genuinely, I watched with a smile on my face. Manchester United were brilliant in that first half. Press baiting when we had the ball, waiting for Crystal Palace to start jumping and committing to the press, then finding the spare man. Often Joshua Zirkzee being a main part of that, from him dropping in deep, finding a bounce pass and releasing to a winger. Man United in that first 45 minutes were unbelievable. It was brilliant. It's the best football I've seen from Manchester United since Erik ten Hag has come in. Unfortunately, in that first half, we created 5 big chances and didn't score any of them. Dean Henderson was ridiculous. A goalkeeper that, if you remember correctly, for some of you guys who have known about my takes previously on the podcast and on my Twitter, follow all the socials that are all going to be on the screen. Not going to be on the screen, in the description, we can check that out. But what we did see from Manchester United is, Dean Henderson, if you guys remember correctly, was a goalkeeper when it was the whole debate between Henderson and David De Gea. It was a goalkeeper that I preferred over David De Gea in his final season, in his final 2 seasons, I should say. Because Dean Henderson is a modern-day keeper in the sense that he claims the ball, he sweeps quite well, he's very, very eager to come off his line and make sure that his defensive line can stay higher by his presence. He wasn't a pushover. He is a really, really good shot stopper as well. And we saw that in that first half against Manchester United. We had chances for Joshua Zirkzee from a corner, Dalot from a corner. Garnacho was played in by Zirkzee and had a left-footed shot that he saved. There was one that was cut across the box that I think Garnacho and Zirkzee both had a chance to tap in. He was brilliant in that first half. The credit has to be given to Dean Henderson. He was fantastic. But Manchester United were fantastic in that first half. A couple of players I want to point out the reason why we had such a good first half. Matthias de Ligt was really, really good. Off the ball, strong box defender, really patient in his defensive play, really calculating the way that he was defending. I really, really liked that about him. It wasn't someone who's just aggressive for the sake of being aggressive, was calculated in the areas that he was sending players to and then pouncing and making sure that they won the ball at the right time. Very, very good performance from Matthias de Ligt to me. Noussair Mazraoui might be one of the best signings we've made since Alex Ferguson has left. For price and for technical ability and calmness in defending, such a complete profile of a footballer. Mazraoui, brilliant. Fantastic, fantastic defender. Who else was really important part of that performance? Eriksen, fantastic in picking up the right spots. Joshua Zirkzee, for me, showed exactly why, from this point forward, I don't think Rasmus Højlund should play for United unless Zirkzee's on the pitch. The only time that Højlund, in my opinion, should play is if it's a two-striker system and Ten Hag finds a system where he can play both of them. Because Joshua Zirkzee showed why he is so important to the way that Ten Hag wants to play football. Was dropping off that defensive line, was finding that bounce pass to the midfielders, allowing them to play forward, then was finding the threaded through passes to the wingers. He was so pivotal in how we play. The only criticism I can have of Zirkzee is the same criticism I've had of him in the previous game weeks. Don't become like the end of Martial, where you see how important that he is on the pitch, but he isn't getting you goals. Zirkzee needs to start finding the goal and needs to find it quickly, so that it is eliminating any questions about him, because performance-wise, there isn't an issue with him. The second thing I want to talk about is, after that brilliant first half, Ten Hag substitutions are a main talking point again. The reason they're a main talking point again is because he takes the sting right out of that game in that 60th minute, where instead of taking off Garnacho for Rashford, who Garnacho, after the first half performance, who was brilliant, by the way, Garnacho was fantastic. It's another one I didn't mention. So threatening in behind, intelligent with his fake movements and runs, hit the crossbar, was just fantastic all round in his attacking play. But after that first half, really good performance, it dipped in that second half, and the correct decision was simple. Take off Garnacho for Rashford. It doesn't make any sense taking Zirkzee off after how well he played. He was so important to how we're playing. I don't understand how Ten Hag doesn't see it. And it's not that Rashford can't play simple passes. It's just that Xerxes' mould and profile is so much more suited to the way we play. And then he went on afterwards to take off took off Ahmad then afterwards, and that felt like a winning as well. And Højlund came on because Ahmad is just, he didn't have maybe not the most like exciting games, but when you take off both Ahmad and Xerxes, the technical level of that front line just drops, and the IQ of the front line drops. Then we had a front line of Rashford, Højlund, and Garnacho, 3 players who are direct and all game winners, but you needed mix of profiles in your front line. At no point during the season should both Xerxes and Ahmad be off the pitch, in my opinion. I have to speak about it. Bruno Fernandes was very, very poor today. Arguably one of his poorer games in a Manchester United shirt. Because when you have poor Bruno games, what he does is that he'll still create big chances. He wasn't really creating. Like in the first half, one thing I can give him credit for is he was speeding up the play. When it felt like there were moments during that game, and it's something I really enjoyed about the first half, that Manchester United were just comfortable having the ball and probing and probing and probing. And that was really, really refreshing to see. Where we're not rushing on every attack because we know that attacks are going to come. And what Bruno was really good at doing is when we were in those moments of probing, he would be the one that changed the catalyst. The pace of the game just changed. The attack happens, bang, bang, something happens out of nowhere. And that was something I have to give him credit for. But other than that, it's a really bad Bruno performance. And when he has bad days, those days are very, very, very bad in terms of losses of possession. Like no creativity. There's no creative spark with intelligence. There's no IQ, which is all things that I credit Bruno Fernandes for very, very highly. But I have to be honest when I'm saying the truth and what I see with my eyes. He had a bad game today. Kobe had some really, really, really beautiful touches, some nice instinctive movements. Like his footballing instincts are so good. Like if there's a ball deflects off someone and he needs to get it to a player by doing a little flick with the back of his heel, he'll do that. Like he's just got these footballing instincts that are so naturally gifted. Like he's so naturally gifted, he can do these things and find solutions out of nowhere. The third thing I want to note is just that level of performance drop off in that second half. That was a really, really big problem for me. The main point reason why it happens is the lack of control is because Xerxes comes off that football pitch. It can't be denied. And one player shouldn't have that much of an impact, but it is just evident to see that Højlund can't do that same job. Højlund's strengths are in other places, which is the running in behind, the channel runs, and if there's spacing behind the team, you know that Højlund can really penetrate that if you need forward runs from a striker. And that is really where his strengths lie. But Xerxes is in being the connective tissue for a whole attack. And that was what I really, really enjoyed about his performance. But United need to find solutions. United need to find solutions for when Xerxes is off the pitch, how can we still have control over a game? What are the things that we can do to ensure that we still have control over a game? Another player I must mention before we wrap up is Diogo Dalot. I seem to be lost for words with Diogo Dalot sometimes because it's just what job and role can't he do? And he's just a Swiss Army knife. Diogo Dalot, Erik ten Hag's Swiss Army knife. Genuinely picks up the ball in so many different zones, affects the game in so many different areas, in so many different thirds and phases of play. Like he'll be overlapping, he'll tuck in, he'll be someone who's a bounce pass in the first phase. He's someone who has shown now the confidence to be able to even drop a shoulder in midfield and drive with the ball. Diogo Dalot is special, a very, 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 very promising young talent. And we have to tip our hats to Jose Mourinho for giving us that player at 19 years of age and speaking about how much of a hot prospect in Europe he will be in the future to come. Jose, once again, you are right. Let me know what you guys thought about Manchester United's game. Let me know in the comments down below. I really like interacting with you guys down there. I've said this on my Twitter as well. The YouTube comments and you guys' ideas and the way that you guys see the game, I really enjoy listening to and really enjoy reading and responding to and interacting with. So let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good YouTube stuff. And I'll catch you guys next time.